Tens of thousands of shopkeepers took part in the Thursday's day-long strike, although in some cities the action was only partially observed. Colombia uncovers huge phantom pupil subsidy scam. Colombia's government has been paying out huge amounts in education subsidies for some 180,000 students who were falsely enrolled, officials say. Officials said the fraudulent registers included multiple entries for individual pupils, students who never attended lessons or did not even exist. The scam came to light during the initial audit of registers this year. Education Minister Maria Fernanda Campos said the loss in state funds could amount to more than $100 million. Fraudulent lists have been uncovered in different parts of the country. The Attorney General's office is now investigating local education authorities and schools to check enrollment lists and discover where the subsidies have gone. Ms. Campos said the investigators would check that registered pupils actually exist and are flesh and blood children, not phantom children.
¿Y qué es lo que se dice? No, pues vamos hacia el sistema chileno porque mire, aquí lo que estamos es privatizando la educación, nada más lejos de eso. Si estuviéramos privatizando la educación, no estaríamos nosotros incrementando de manera muy sustantiva los recursos de origen público que van a financiar nuestras instituciones de educación superior pública.
Nando's axes Zimbabwe's Robert Mugabe dictator advert. A South African fast food chain has withdrawn a TV advert which pokes fun at Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe as the last dictator standing. Nando's South Africa said it decided to act after receiving threats to its staff in Zimbabwe from a youth group loyal to Mr. Mugabe. The video shows a sad Mugabe look-alike dining alone at a table set for Libya's Muammar Gaddafi, Uganda's Idi Amin, and other state autocratic rulers. The firm is known for its cheeky ads.
Come on, you must know that. Tell him again, tell him again. We are not a British colony.
At that point, I was wrestled away by Zimbabwean and Egyptian security men. But the man who still calls himself President of Zimbabwe had plenty more that he wanted to say.
What have the British to do with Zimbabwe? Who are you? You bloody idiots.
Kidnappings of British Asians rising in Pakistan. The number of British Asians being kidnapped for ransom in Pakistan is increasing every year, figures show. Kidnappers targeted 22 people last year following a year-on-year increase from 8 in 2006, according to the Serious Organized Crime Agency. Northwest MEP Sajjad Karim believes criminals in Pakistan are increasingly targeting visiting British Asians because they are seen as easy targets. A spokesman for the High Commission for the Pakistan denied this was the case. The Serious Organized Crime Agency SOCA figures represent only the cases reported to the authorities. Bangladesh tried thousands for Hindu persecution. Thousands of activists from the main opposition parties in Bangladesh will be put on trial for persecuting Hindus 10 years ago, the government has said. Thousands of Hindus fled Bangladesh and sought refuge in the neighboring India following the attacks on them. A judicial inquiry has blamed the violence on supporters of the alliance led by the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, BNP, which came to power in 2001. The BNP denies the charges, saying they are politically motivated. They want to divert the attention to the people from the failures of this government in almost all social and political sectors. Senior Bangladesh Nationalist Party BNP leader Maudud Ahmed told BBC reporters. The inquiry was set up about 2 years ago on the orders of Bangladesh High Court following complaints by Hindu leaders that there had been a series of attacks against them in 2001, including murder, looting, and rape. They said Islamist parties in the alliance were especially targeting them because they voted for the rival Awami League in the elections. The inquiry concluded that more than 25,000 people, including 25 former ministers who are now in the opposition, were responsible for the attacks. The BNP-led alliance lost power in 2006.
Who commenced their counseling.
November, December নাগাদ আমাদের সম্মেলন করব আশা করি। সেই জন্য আমরা তো নির্বাচন কমিশনকে চিঠি দিয়ে বলেছি আমাদের আরো 6 মাস সময় লাগবে। এখন নির্বাচন কমিশন তাদেরকে ইনিশিয়েটিভ নিতে হবে। তারা আইন সংশোধন করার জন্য সরকারের কাছে প্রস্তাব পাঠাবেন বলেছেন। যদি অর্ডিন্যান্স চেঞ্জ করে যদি সময় বৃদ্ধি করা যায় ভালো। আর বৃদ্ধি যদি করা না যায় এটা নির্বাচন কমিশন উপর নির্ভর করবে তারা এই বিষয়টি কিভাবে সমাধান করবেন।
যারা এখন দিল্লির সেবাদাস হয়ে এটাকে আবার দিল্লির একটা অঙ্গরাজ্য করার চেষ্টা করছেন।
We'll move on to the business world. Game designer Zynga plans stock market flotation. Game designer Zynga, which makes a highly successful formula game for Facebook, has announced plans for a stock market flotation. Reports suggest that the firm could raise as much as $925 million from the listing. The firm plans to sell 100 million shares on 14.3% of the company at $8.50 to $10 per share, according to regulatory filing made on Friday. The valuation would make Zynga the biggest US games company by stock market value. Welcome to the world of science. Climate deal pushed by poorest nations. The world's poorest countries have asked that the talks on a new climate deal covering all nations begin immediately. At the UN Climate Summit, the least developed countries bloc and small island states tabled papers saying the deal should be finalized within a year. Many of them are vulnerable to climate impacts such as drought or inundation. The move puts on the blocs on a coalition course not only with many rich nations but also with developing world partners such as China, India and Brazil. These three developing world giants believe talks on a new mandate should not begin now because developed nations have yet to fulfill existing commitments. But their smaller peers believe there is no time to lose. And in sports, the ball still belongs to the stars. In one of the NBA lockout signature moments, Commissioner David Stern wagged a scornful finger and Dwayne Wade snarled back. The testy exchange offered a convenient prism for viewing the labor crisis. Management versus employee, authority versus subordinate, but also power versus power. The 149-day lockout was mostly about money and party, about competitive balance, but with a subtext of control. The owners saw their slipping and they resolved to seize it back. They wanted a ban on opt-out clauses and sign and trade deals to curtail player leverage. They wanted a deal packed with financial landmines to discourage the best players from changing teams. The owners won some items and lost others, but they ultimately failed to regain control. The NBA superstars appeared to be just as powerful as ever. And now, before we close today's bulletin of news analysis, let's have a recap of the main points. Merkel urges European Union fiscal union to tackle eurozone crisis. Hillary Clinton Burma visit, Suu Kyi hopeful on reforms. Transparency International cuts ties with FIFA. Tibet sees first-born self-immolation protest. Pranab Mukherjee, India retail reform must for growth. US Senate passes sanctions on Iran central bank. And there we end today's bulletin of news analysis. Be with us in the coming weeks too. Thank you.